Hello and welcome to another episode of DSU Inside Perspective, the show where we talk to faculty, staff, and guests about many of the things that are going on in the world or some of the great things that go on at Delaware State University. Today is the first episode of the new school year, the 2014-2015 school year, and we are privileged to have U.S. Senator Chris Coons here in our studio today to talk to him about Africa. So we're going to go outside the country today. Senator Coons is the chairman of the African Affairs Subcommittee for the Foreign Relations Committee of the Senate. And he's going to educate us a little bit today. Senator, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carlos. Great to be with you.
It is my opinion that a lot of people need to be educated about Africa.
Absolutely.
And my understanding, you have some background in Africa that made you perfect for that job. What was your background in Africa?
Well, just a little bit. I mean, I spent a semester as a student at the University of Nairobi in Kenya, traveling throughout the country, staying with families in different places across Kenya, volunteering with some nonprofits, and later traveling to Uganda and Tanzania. And then after graduating from college, I wrote a book on South Africa and apartheid, and then traveled to South Africa, this would be 1987, and worked for Desmond Tutu in the Council of Churches. So across those two trips and visiting a total of 5 countries, in the mid-'80s, I had a pretty good grounding in what was going on in Africa at the time. But I wasn't elected to the Senate until 2010. So when the opportunity came up for me to take over chairing this subcommittee, I felt like I had a lot to learn, a lot of catching up to do. Like many Americans, I don't think I really appreciated just how much opportunity there is on the continent of Africa today, just how much progress has been made in the last decade. Sure, there are still places of conflict and difficulty, Boko Haram in Nigeria, Al-Shabaab in Somalia, Ebola affecting West Africa, but the opportunity on the continent is huge.
So it is important for the U.S. to have a strong foreign policy with Africa. It's important for us to have good economic partnerships with Africa. We can do that anywhere in the world. Why Africa?
Well, first, because we have already strong, positive relationships with Africa. President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama have each done things that have strengthened the U.S.-Africa relationship. I mean, going back to the Peace Corps under President Kennedy, moving forward to President Bush's important initiative around fighting HIV/AIDS, and President Obama's both historic election here and outreach and connection around young African leaders and around Power Africa, 2 of his recent initiatives, we are better regarded as a country on the continent of Africa than anywhere else on earth, first. Second, we have a significant community of African Americans as well as African Americans. We have the largest African diaspora in the world. And so they are another linkage that we've got that is in many ways a legacy of universities like Delaware State University educating Africans, as well as being led by and educating African Americans. And then last, many countries across the continent, there's 54 countries in the continent of Africa, many of them have moved towards capitalist societies, open democracies, multi-party democracies that better fit with our values and our priorities and are natural trading partners for us. So the positive progress of the last decade is sometimes lost in the negative news that draws the attention of, most of the short focus press. But if you look more deeply, the opportunities across the continent are huge, and that's a moral and an economic and a political imperative for our country to take advantage of this opportunity in a positive way to build mutual relationships with the people of Africa.
But in terms of business, we obviously have not been as diligent as, say, a country like China, who is a predominant trading partner for African countries. Now, we could talk about why that is, but I know you're probably about solutions. Okay, so what are the opportunities for American businesses in Africa, and why should they be persuaded to look to that continent?
Well, first, 6 out of 10 of the fastest growing economies in the world, according to the World Bank, were on the continent of Africa in the last decade, and 7 out of 10 of the fastest growing in the world will be in Africa this decade. So the economic growth rates across the continent are significant. Second, why is China there? Why is China everywhere? Because of the vast natural resources, not just the oil and gas, the minerals, but also the arable land, the untilled land, that there's more of it in Africa than the rest of the world combined, and the growing middle class. There's over 1 billion people in Africa. Most Americans don't grasp that Africa is bigger than China, India, Western Europe, and the United States combined. And there's so much opportunity for us to be involved in partnership with African countries in building infrastructure, in selling manufactured and commercial goods, and in partnering with them to grow both of our countries' economies, both the economies of the countries of Africa and the economy of the United States.
But I'm sure there's some business folks that look at the Ebola endemic, the militant conflicts that take place in a number of the African countries, and they're like, I don't know. What would you say to them?
Well, that's exactly what President Obama did. In the first week of August, we had a record-breaking U.S.-Africa summit where the president invited the heads of state or heads of government of 50 countries to come to Washington. I helped co-chair the congressional reception the first day, which was wonderful, remarkable. And Dr. Williams was my guest and had the opportunity to meet a number of African heads of state there. The second day, all day, was co-hosted by Penny Pritzker, President Obama's Secretary of Commerce, and Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York and a very successful businessman. And there were panels and discussions, and the focus was getting 50 U.S. CEOs to sit in a room and understand what lots of African heads of state and African business leaders were telling them, which is, yes, there's a handful of countries that have real problems with disease and conflict, but it's a huge continent of opportunities, and you're missing the boat that competitors around the world are seeing clearly and taking advantage of. So don't miss this opportunity. That was the point of the second day, and then the third day was at the White House. And the president, I think, wowed them with really a very engaging all-day conversation about some of the challenges and the opportunities.
And I'm not going to leave it to chance, but you talk about Dr. Williams. That's our president, Dr. Harry Williams, the president of Delaware State University. If the trend, heaven forbid, but if the trend continues, that China remains the predominant trading partner of African countries, what are the long-term consequences for the United States and, for that matter, Western countries?
Well, the simple consequence is we lose economic opportunity to grow exports, to grow jobs, and to grow opportunities for American families and communities. But on a second level, there's a real difference in our values. When China comes to a country and the United States comes to a country and says, we want to partner with you, we also bring our values. We say we want open press. We want your young people to have opportunities. We want a democratic society here, and we press for that. The Chinese don't press for that. They don't ask questions. They simply want a long-term contract that gives them access to oil or gas or minerals or agriculture, and they have a policy of what they call non-interference. Well, that allows dictators to continue. That allows oppression of the media to continue. That allows anti-human rights legislation to proliferate across the continent. I think that in the long term, we are missing out if we don't strengthen our connections to Africa. We're not just missing economic opportunity. We're missing political opportunity and values opportunities. There's other players in this field as well, of course, Russia and India and Brazil. I think the United States will do best in Africa, where we approach these partnerships as mutual and respectful, and where we make it clear what our priorities are, but not in a hectoring or lecturing way, but in a way that helps us put the quality of our products, the strength of our spirit and our people, and the values that democracy promotes in the room for conversations. I think that's positive, and if we don't do it, I do think we're missing big opportunities, economic, cultural, and political.
Well, Senator, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been very illuminating, and I hope to get you back here. We've got other things we can talk about, such as your legislation that is pending now on the American Manufacturing Competitiveness Act, where you want to get us really stronger in that area. So thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for joining us for our first segment of DSU Inside Perspective for the school year 2014-2015. Y'all have a good day now.